Howdy all, I'm Chris Madron, and this is how my Sydney Ultra Marathon 50k went. Let's get right on into it then. I remember on the week of the race, I remember looking at the weather forecast as I always do, and it said it was going to rain pretty bad in the morning of the race, so pretty much going to be at the start of the race, but it was going to be probably from 8 o'clock it was going to stop, which obviously is good, but that's obviously the race has already started by that point, so it'll be running in the rain for a bit. So, and also I didn't know much about the track as well. There was no footage really of the track for me to get a grasp of, to understand really, because that's something I normally do when I prepare for a race. I try to find footage of the course and the track to try and get an understanding of it, but there was nothing I could find, so I was pretty much going into the race not knowing what the course was like and not knowing what the weather was going to really hold. And sure enough, as my wife and I were driving to St. Ives, it bucketed down with rain, absolutely torrential. It was so hard to even get there. My wife was really struggling to follow the lines. It was that bad. And so, but honestly, despite that, I was still calm, oddly enough. Normally if I was in any other situation, I'd just be like, oh god, dang damn it, it's raining, dang it. But then I just had this calm, oddly enough, when we were driving there, despite that. And we actually pulled up to St. Ives Showground where the race was starting and finishing, and it literally stopped raining as we arrived, and not a drop of rain came down, and I just looked up to the heavens and I said, thank you God.
Yep, we've arrived at St. Ives Showground right now. We came in and it was bucketing down, but it seems to have eased up a little bit, so that's good, but depends on how the terrain is and all that. That's another question. But that's the only thing I think I feel nervous about, just how the terrain's going to be. Obviously I know I can do 50k's, I've done 100, so, which is a bit weird when you think about it. If you I've done 100k's before I've done 50k's, it's a bit weird, but that's how it is. But if anything, that gives me confidence to be able to finish wherever finish that may be. I don't know, but yeah, my goal, I probably think about 5 hours 30, maybe even 6 hours, depending on what the terrain's like out there. But now feeling good. We're just about to head off for registration soon, so get my number, get all checked up. No, we're all good.
So when the race actually starts, you're actually walking through a shed, and you're walking out to the start line, and it feels like you're almost entering an arena. So that was a pretty cool feeling of just walking out there and just feeling like you're about to be the entertainment of everyone spectating and watching.
How you going, Chris?
Feeling good. It's not raining, so at the moment anyway. So yeah, that's good on that side. But 50k in the next 17 minutes. So feeling good. I'm actually feeling better now than I was. So less nervous, but yeah, let's get out there, rain, see what it's like.
Yeah, and then the hype music was something else. For the 80k race before me, they had Thunderstruck by AC/DC as they were running off, and then for my race they had Welcome to the Jungle. And I was just like, I want a petition for every race on the earth to have these songs as the hype for each and every race, because this is just something else. as soon as I was like at the starting line, I just felt so calm. I was like ready and energetic, honestly, and almost. And you can probably tell there was some footage of me just like head bopping to the music, and I was just like, I'm about to start a 50k race, and I'm as cool as a cucumber, and I couldn't believe it. No, it was fantastic. Yeah, well, the race started, and I just remember going out there and just everyone cheers you on as you're going through, and then I remember a guy dropped his Gatorade bottle right in front of me, so I just thought to pick it up for him, and gave it to him as we were running. So that was an interesting start. But the whole point of that, I feel like the first K or so was about like just finding your spot, finding your rhythm. So I just was overtaking a few people, trying to find my opportunities around some people, and then seeing how we go from there, because I didn't know the course. Of course, I didn't know when it would descend into a single lane track, which it really did very quickly. Like within a K or K and a half, it went into a single track, and I was stuck behind this guy for the whole time. I could not get past him. I could hear people running behind me, so I could tell that I was being slowed up. And so as soon as like the opportunity came, I immediately overtook him, and I even overtook another guy as well in the process. And so yeah, that was literally the first 2 or 3 Ks.
Whew. Thought I nearly got lost there for a moment. 6 Ks in, I nearly got lost. How about that? Feel a little bit lonely out here now. Walking up this hill on Kitchener Street. Just over a K to go before the next checkpoint. Let's go.
This course was very interesting too, because it also required us to go over a busy road, which meant that there was a marshal and official there at the crossing, pressing the buttons, so then we could go as soon as like the green man was there. So that was an interesting. I never had that before. So that meant either you could catch up to people who you were behind, or the other way around. And in my case, on that first go, I was actually was caught up by 2 runners behind me, and we ended up running all together into the first aid station, actually at the Tree Loppers aid station. Once you enter the Tree Loppers aid station, like you start to then go into like an out and back section where it goes left in one direction, and then you go back, and then you go through again, and then do an out and back the opposite way that you just came in, so as if you were turning right. And so this was when like I started having this kind of, I was running with 2 other runners within 20 meters of each other. We were running for probably from the Monavale crossing, so about 8 Ks in, all the way up to the back again at the Monavale stage, so probably up to K25. So we were like within 20 meters of each other, or so, something like that, maybe even a bit further, from 8 Ks to 25 Ks. So it was a long time that we were all so close together. I didn't know really what position I was in, so I remember like when we turned left into the first part of the out and back, I just remember like kept on going, just following my pacing, just doing all the strategies that I was seeing, like walking a little bit up hills, trying to go a bit faster down the hills, and then I remember seeing the first runner come towards us who was in the race, and I'm like, okay, he's in first place. And then I was starting to count down all the runners that were going past us, and I quickly determined that the 3 places that we were in this group was 9th, 10th and 11th. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm fighting for the top 10 placings here. This is interesting. I remember when we came back out onto the tree loppers aid station again. This is you go through the first tree loppers, and then the second time you go back as if you're going back towards Montevale Road. So you're going back there again, and then doing the crossing again at the Montevale Road crossing, and then yeah, just then I was like, okay, we've done this base section. We're halfway through now, so I'm still feeling alright. I'm still feeling good.
It's weird doing an ultra marathon trail race when doing a bit of road. But that's a part of it. They had it in the UTA, so why not? Now we're all good. This is great. And now we're on the trail again.
Despite the fact that I was feeling good, I also did start to realize that the people who I was fine with from 9th, 10th and 11th were like getting ahead of me. So I couldn't tell if I'd used up all my energy or they were using a lot more. And as it turned out, the lady that I was wheel racing with in that group ended up being the fastest female, so she just took off ahead of us. So I was like, okay then, well she's long gone, so that I won't be fine for that anymore. And so so by the time we got to the next aid station, I was probably still around. I was 11th or 12th. Yeah, 11th actually. Yeah, and we got on through to then a fire trail after the third aid station.
Well, update in the race. We're past 35 Ks, and I think I'm in 13th. I don't know. I've been trying to count them, and I honestly have no idea. Whoa, jeez! Wow, that trip nearly got on camera. But, yeah, let's make sure we don't have any trips for this race for the final 15 Ks or so. I've jinxed myself, haven't I? Let's hope not.
This was part of a lonely section, honestly, after the Bobbin Head Trail, because I remember running on this fire trail towards Bobbin Head, and it was so quiet that I was even wondering if I was even on the right course. So like I was just like having this sense of panic almost at one point, to the point that I saw two like tourists like up ahead, and I was about to ask them if they'd seen any runners up ahead. And just as I was about to ask them, I saw a sign up ahead that said, for the 50k runners, you're 35 k's in. So I was like, oh, okay, we're on the right track.
Bobbin Head. I could not resist.
One thing I started to learn, I didn't even realize it, but I was feeling like I was starting to like get into a bit of a groove once I reached the going down Bobbin Head trails, because like I was just going through, I was just like decided just to just remain calm, just run as if I'm running an easy run pace, like if I stick to this certain pace and I'll be fine. And then we descended into the single lane track.
Good. I did actually nearly have another trip. It wasn't a trip, it just nearly was. I better really stop saying that I'm not gonna trip. I'm really gonna jinx this. Oh. Anyway, we keep on going. We are less than a kilometre to the final aid station, and we've just gone up bloody massive hill. But to be honest, we're still going up. It's so nothing's new there. Thank you.
Where the third aid station was on Timbarra Road, a little quick stop, and I even chugged down a Red Bull because I'm not normally one to change my nutrition plan, but I just thought like, let's just give it a go. We've got 8Ks to go in this race, so let's just give it a go. Let's chug down this Red Bull and see how I'm feeling. I was in 13th at this point, and there was no one really behind me. So I was like, let's go.
Right, this is it. The final assault to the finish line. So about 8Ks to go. Let's go. Come on.
I honestly think that the final 8Ks of this race is probably the best 8Ks that I've ever done in a race. I honestly believe that because I still felt this energy. Like, I still felt like I had enough in me to obviously get to the end, but I still had some pace. I was still pretty happy with what I was doing. And I remember probably halfway through, I remember passing a 50k runner. I remember looking, I was like, I remember that guy. When I was doing the out and backs, I was also looking at the faces of the runners. I'm like, I remember that guy. He's in my race. And so he looked down at me because we were going through a hairpin, and he literally looked at me and said, "Oh," I can't say what he said. And for some reason, my response to that was, "Howdy there." But yeah, so I passed him. I'm like, okay, so I might be up in 12th right now.
It's wobbly.
As this single lane track was continuing, I remember like I was passing 30k runners, so I was trying to remember who was actually in my race and who wasn't. And so I'd look up ahead and I'd see a runner, and I'm like, no, they're in the 30ks. And so when I did recognize someone, I'd be like, oh crap, this is for position here. And then I remember like I was in 12th at the time, not that I knew that I was 100% sure of this at the time, but I just remember seeing someone up ahead, and I was like, that's definitely a 50k runner. And so I didn't realize how close I was to some of the other runners up ahead, and I just passed him as well. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm up in 11th now, I think. Like, this is fantastic. I've still got some energy in me, more than I even expected. It was kind of crazy, the kind of energy that I still had in me, because like I was actually running upstairs at points, and I was like, what's happened to me? Like, I've got this new bill of energy. And then like all of a sudden I've recognized another runner, and I'm like, am I in 10th? Am I actually in 10th right now? Like, I couldn't believe it. And then we're just going through the final bits of the race, and I remember looking up, and then we entered the where the showground was, around the perimeter of the showground, and it was going on for so long, and I was just like, oh, well, how big is this showground? It like felt like it was going on forever, but I remember I could see 9th place up ahead, and I remember he looked back at me and he recognized me, and he was like, he's like, is that him? And I just was just like, all I could think of was like, howdy, even though he couldn't hear me. But yeah. Yeah, I remember like I could hear the cheering, so I'm like, okay, yeah, we're close now. And got up the hill, got up to the final bit. My wife was up there to say, to cheer me on as I crossed the line. And I was just like, I crossed the line, and I was just like, yoo-hoo! Because I was just like so elated, because I was like, I'm sure I'm 10th, I'm sure of it. I'm not 100% confident, but I just had this feeling. And then I got notifications. One of my followers actually said, congratulations on finishing 10th, because he'd been following the race. I'm like, well, that confirms it, I finished 10th. On reflection of this race, I honestly would say that this is my strongest performance in a race this whole year. And I say that because, like, you look at the UTA 100, and I'm like, that was incredibly hard. But from a performance perspective, I think that this was my best, because I still had energy in the last 8Ks. And those last 8Ks, as I said, were probably the best 8Ks I've ever done in a race, because I still had energy, and I was passing other runners that I thought were way ahead of me. And as it turned out, I was only just like catching up to them. So I'm proud of that. I was able to do that, and for me it shows that the work that I've been putting in at the gym with my S&C training has really paid off, and that was the first time I actually really saw it pay off. So I'm very proud to come home 10th, and yeah, honestly I'm just so proud of myself for getting through this race and getting through it well. Not just getting through it, but getting through it well. Yeah. Well, that's my experience of the Sydney Ultra Marathon 50k. I hope to do it again next year. It's definitely a great event, and I can't wait to potentially even do the 80k next year. Who knows? But in the meantime, everyone, thank you everyone for watching. Take care and God bless. Bye.